Hi, and welcome back to the calendar management training series. I am super excited that you're watching today's video because I want to make sure that you know how to set up your calendar for success. Calendar management is all about being intentional with your time and your priorities. We have already covered a couple of different topics in the first two videos. In the first video, we really set up the basics of calendar management. And in the second video, we talked about different categories that should be shown on your calendar and your energy type. In today's video, I want to talk with you about how to set up your calendar based on your weekly priorities, because this is really how we should think about our calendar, right? We should think about what is it that I really need to get done this week in order to feel accomplished at the end of the week. Set up our calendars based on that information, and then obviously, hopefully, everything else will fall into place based on that. So I really think this is a super important topic, and I'm really excited to cover it with you today. If you haven't watched the first two videos yet, I highly encourage you to do that. You can find them here and here. And then we can get started and really jump into this video. So I will see you back here in a moment. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Arndt, and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. And I'm really excited to jump with you today into the third part of the calendar management training series. As I already mentioned in the introduction, today I want to talk with you about how to set up your calendar based on your weekly priorities. And so I will have a lot of questions for you today, and I hope that you are again sitting in front of your computer, in front of your laptop, in front of anything that shows your calendar so you can follow along and you can take action immediately. This is the most important thing because I really want you to get started. I really want you to implement these insights that I'm sharing with you today in order to create a better calendar management system. So the first question that you should ask yourself today is, what are my weekly priorities? This is a really good exercise to do towards the end of the week to make sure that your calendar is set up for success for the next week, because we all know that your calendar fills up towards the end of the week for the next week. So you need to be super intentional and kind of quick to make sure that you're creating different spaces for yourself to create a calendar based on your priorities. You can also do this on a Monday. I've actually just had a call with a client and we did exactly this exercise with her on a Monday, and she was still able to free up different spaces on her calendar to make sure that her weekly priorities are correctly reflected. So once you have the answer to that question, you should ask yourself this second question. The second question is, how much time do you need this week in order to work on your weekly priorities? How much time do you need? Do you need, for example, 2 hours to really focus heads down on a project plan or a new strategy, right? Think about how much time is it that you need. And then once you have that answer, then you should ask yourself also the question, do I need to meet with any other people related to this project or related to this topic in order to get everything done that I need to get done with regards to that priority? Okay, so 3 questions. What is your weekly priority? How much time do you need in order to work on this priority? And are there any other people involved that you potentially need to meet with? These are basically the most important 3 steps. And once you have the insights to these questions, then you can go to your calendar and start planning accordingly. As you remember, hopefully from the second video, you can see that we had created a couple of different categories on your calendar in order to make sure that you have time for things like that, right? So now that you're looking at your calendar for the week, it might look way different than this, right? You have probably a lot of different calendar blocks and meetings already scheduled on your calendar. And now it is on you to find the time to really be intentional about getting your weekly priorities done. So let me give you a very specific example. For example, I still need to do some reviews for my peak performance planner that I need to send to my designer. She sent me a PDF with over 500 pages of reviewing what my peak performance planner is going to look like. So in order to do this review, I need about 1.5 to 2 hours of uninterrupted time to really focus and not be distracted. disturbed. So I have already created different focus time blocks on my calendar in order to reflect exactly that. Now, you might have done that as well, but now there are different meetings that are booked over these different blocks. And so you need to be really intentional about, okay, do I need to be at these meetings, or am I going to find some other time to work on this? And so for me, once I have these 2 hours of uninterrupted project time, then I also need to provide the feedback to my designer. So I will probably need at least another hour to communicate with her on the final changes that I need her to make. So again, I will look into my calendar and check, okay, when am I going to do this? Am I going to do this all in one block, for example, right? Am I going to do 2 hours of review and then 1 hour of communication with her? Or will I do the communication part at another point in time because maybe I have already other things that are coming my way and that I need to take care of, okay? So this is the first and most important thing that you can do in order to really, really well manage your calendar based on your priorities. Now I want to dive with you into a couple of more details on how to really structure and manage your calendar. Now that you have created these different blocks on your calendar and you're really clear on your priorities, then there's a couple of other questions you should ask yourself. Based on my experience, I know that the calendar that I'm showing you here is not really a good reflection of what your calendar probably looks like, because you're probably having many, many different blocks on your calendar. And really the goal of this calendar management training is that you're starting to be super intentional about your time, that you're working during your office hours, that you're not working in the evening or during the weekends to get your project time done. And on top of that, also find time to recharge, which is why we are having this lunch break block here really clearly highlighted on your calendar as well. And you should always make sure that you're creating these different spaces. So the question that I have for you now that you are clearer on your weekly priorities is number 1. Do you have any double or triple bookings still on your calendar for the week? Make sure that you check that. If you do, create space on your calendar. I already said that in the first training, but I'm going to repeat myself because this is super, super important, because I see it happening all the time, that you are being double and triple booked again, or that there are some meetings that are sneaking in on the blocks that you have created for yourself. So you need to start being super intentional and clear on what is it that you need to get done, okay? And then you need to let people know, or you need to move meetings around in order to create space for yourself. The goal really is to not have any double or triple bookings on your calendar, to have it super, super clear, and also with the different colors that you can already see here on my calendar as well. Make sure that you know right when you look at your calendar what is going to happen today. What I really like to do, and I'm actually going to change some colors here around in a second, is that you're starting to get really clear on what is your own time, what is your recharge time, what are, for example, meetings with your team, so one-to-ones and team meetings, and then also, for example, what are leadership meetings. And all of these different categories should have different color codes so that you are looking at your calendar and that you're really clear with, okay, this is where I start my day, this is where I end my day, this is where I have my admin block or my email block or my calendar management block, right? And then I want you to make sure that you have at least one block per day for at least 1 hour of recharge time. This is super, super important, okay? And if you have, for example, a meeting that is scheduled over your lunch break or that is scheduled over your recharge time, I challenge you that you still find an hour at some point during your workday to still get some recharge time done. So color coding is super, super important. And in order to reflect it better on this calendar, I'm going to change some colors around and make sure that we are really set up for success. Okay, as you can see here on my calendar, there are some clear colors to know what is happening when. The light red shows when you start your day and when you end your day. The green is your lunch break. It's kind of the oasis throughout the day, which is why I actually chose green as this, because I think it's kind of a lighter, friendlier color. Then blue is for checking emails and calendar. And then yellow is my focus time and my uninterrupted project time where I'm really trying to get things done. And this is super important. I see calendars all the time that have super old blocks on their calendar from years ago that nobody is really paying attention to anymore. And I have just recently talked to a client about this, and she gave me the feedback that once she had created more space on her calendar, it felt like she had also more space in her life, which is super powerful, right? And it takes only, 5 to 10 minutes of being intentional about how you're scheduling and managing your time and your calendar. So the only last question that I have left for you today is the question: now that you have set up your calendar based on your priorities, and then obviously there will be other meetings on your calendar based on all of the other meetings and people that you have to meet with throughout the week, right? You should ask yourself the question, are there any other meetings that are not actually scheduled yet on your calendar for this week that you foresee coming up? Maybe you have seen a couple of different emails, or you have talked to some stakeholders where oh, there's probably some time coming up for that this week as well. So make sure that you are planning for that. If your calendar is fully crammed already with meetings by meetings, then you need to think about, okay, are there some meetings that I can potentially postpone or cancel or delegate someone to in order to create again space for these other things that might not be on your calendar just yet? And then finally, one of the categories that we haven't talked about before that is actually my favorite category for calendar management is to create a block of time on your calendar where you are available for meetings with others. So if someone wants to schedule time with you, then they only have maybe 1 or 2 hours per week where they can do that. So let's schedule that time on my calendar here as well, and then we'll wrap up for today's video. Okay, so I have set up these 2 blocks now on my calendar, 2 times 1 hour per week. People have the opportunity to find time with me. The reason why I scheduled this in the afternoon is because I know that my peak performance hours are in the morning, so I can focus best in the morning hours. And so when people want to meet with me, first of all, they need to make time to meet with me. Why should I flex to meet with them, right? It is important that you're starting to be a little bit more selfish when it comes to calendar management, because there will always be people that want to have your attention and that want to have your time. And that's totally okay, and you should absolutely totally be obviously available for that. But first of all, you should think of yourself, your family, your partner, and your needs. And then you can think about the people that need your time as well. And obviously you have limited time that is available for other people, but you have multiple weeks, right? And people can find time with you across those different weeks as well. So my dear peak performers, this is all I wanted to share with you in today's video. I hope you found this helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and comment down below what are the biggest challenges that you still have with calendar management. There's only 2 more topics left in this series that I really want to cover. The first one is about how to set boundaries and saying no. I know this is a super important topic, especially when it comes to time and calendar management. So we're diving deep into that topic in one of the videos specifically. And I'm going to help you create some different templates around how to say no and how to manage different and maybe even difficult stakeholders. And then the 5th video in this series and the final video will be an FAQ on your questions with regards to calendar management. So I hope that that will be helpful for you as well, in order to know what do I need to do and how can I really become a really good calendar management master. So this is all, and I just have left to say thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.